All right, welcome to Pass the Mic. It is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, Mike,
Happy
February 14th,
Valentine's Day. Look at the
2000,
mics.
2025.
Love is in the air, Mike. Love
Love
is
is
in
in
the
the
air.
air. By the way, this will come out on the day that we are presenting professional development. We're going to get to that. We're sort of putting the cart in front of the horse. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
episode 150, feedback and errors. We were early again last week because ironically, the previous week I had the wrong date.
Yeah.
This week I had I we went early. We had the snow day, the ice day, and the snow day and the ice day, and it came out. I decided why not put it out there on Thursday, right? Not going to do that this week. This is coming out on Valentine's Day. I don't want to.
Yep.
I don't want to. Even though I could probably put it out here this evening, we're recording on the 13th because this storm was a little tough to call for admin and stuff, right? Wouldn't you say?
It was because even as late, originally the report was 1 o'clock, and
Yeah.
then it kind of kept getting pushed back. And even at 6, 7 o'clock yesterday, the question
I
Downriver and Friends was asking the questions.
Yes, all the superintendents of schools on Downriver and Friends.
Right,
I
right.
actually was planning to be like, okay, I'll shovel once at 7 and once this morning. That was my plans. And then like the weather guy said, oh, a dry bubble popped in. There's always an excuse. You
Yeah,
know, kids don't perform well on the SAT. It's boy, you guys screwed up. But the
yeah,
weatherman, oh, a dry cell popped in.
yeah.
Yeah, got it. Thanks. Thanks, Rich Luderman, whoever was I don't even know if that guy's still a weatherman around here. I
Yeah, I
don't even
don't
know.
think so. I think you're just calling people out now randomly.
Rex Roth. I know he's still working. So feedback. Crystal Fowler sent us a long email because I think she's getting caught up. And one thing she says she tries to do is she teaches her kids to not need her, and she takes pride in that. And that's a
Hmm.
good thing. I was reading again. I've been mentioning this book, so I'm going to put up Generations. Right, I finally
Yeah,
finished
yeah.
it,
Yep.
and they talk about like how there's like a section here about a receptionist shocked that a mother was calling and making appointments, not for her 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, but like 23, 25 at like the doctor's office or at
Yeah.
whatever. That's
Right.
sort of what we were talking about. I mean, that's minor stuff, but kids, you got to let people do that stuff. Also mentioned the shoveling in Gibraltar. Now, hopefully it's better today. I didn't go for a walk this morning. I give people time. This was pretty substantial. I'm not going to complain at 8 or 9 this morning about the shoveling.
Way too
And then
early. Yeah.
she mentioned her testing bio and chemistry. Sweet Moses, I
You're right.
would love. I'm out. But
Yeah.
she had to test in Cobo Hall, which is now Huntington Place, I believe, if we want to be
Hmm.
correct. And she said that the bio test she was all right with, but the chem, same sort of thing. The chem had a section that wasn't. It's her minor, and it wasn't really covered. And I think she said she struggled with it. So that's what I got from her. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want to hop in?
No, go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
Max Bailey mentioned at the Redford schools they had communication class in 10th grade, which was all a lot of public speaking, which is good to know. Tom Pack jumped in on his soda pop ranking. Diet Code Red, Pepsi, and Baja Blast are his top three.
Yeah.
Are you ever had a Code Red?
I have not.
I wonder if Code Red's done because didn't the FDA get rid of red dye?
They did. Now, again, you might be, but you would know more about that anyway because pop for me is, again, the Ollie pop. You're going to mock me for that, the 1%. But I don't drink too much pop anyway, so I wouldn't have tried it.
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that the chili cheese fries and deep fried cheese curds and chicken wings I eat are probably worse for me than red dye. I'm not a nutritionist,
I would agree. I would agree. I think you're pretty safe on that one.
but I guess we're still safe. And then I just want to pop in there, Mackay Benton, who was my Mike, got a little airtime because he was out a little bit in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did. And
Like
who
we were
was it?
watching, and we sent the text, and I'm like, "Hey, look at there, he's getting some." Because he went to the tent,
Yeah, right.
Super Bowl champion now, and I think Max claimed he did come back. I don't, we got more Super Bowl talk later, but all right, what else do you got?
Okay, well, we'll start with let me okay. Gary Bailey, underrated dips with fruit, not sweet, but whipped cream, cheese, or salsa sweet, savory contrast. He likes a sweet, savory contrast there. Also agrees with your shrimp cocktail. Excellent idea. Mike P, great executive orders. Loves the airplane idea and the reading. I do want to mention Jill Burguy since executive orders. I saw her the other day. She gave her number one executive order. This was a verbal one, which is parents have to shut up at games. So
That's,
I'm
that'd be great.
I'm all for that. Gary Bailey, a little bit more Super Bowl memories. Favorite play, James Harris interception return. Most memorable is the invincible Baltimore Colts of the NFL versus the lowly AFL and New York Jets. A little bit before our time, obviously.
Yes.
Change the look of pro football forever. What Detroiter could forget? Alex Karras demeaning the Denver Broncos, saying, "If we lose to them, I'll walk home from Denver." They did, and he did
Alex
not.
Karras. Isn't
Yeah,
that Webster's stepdad?
that's it. It is, in fact, Webster's stepdad. With George Papadopoulos, is that his name?
Yes, yes, Mr.
Um,
Papadopoulos.
Underrated game, Chuck Howley MVP game. Even though he played defense on a losing team, 16-13, so pretty good one there. I can't read this, and I wish. Oh, Chris Bailey's own. I got. I lost this one, and I really wish I didn't. Uh, Gary, maybe you could tell us about Chris Bailey here because I don't see the rest of this. I don't know why. I really
Oh,
wish I would have saved that one. It looks like it was on Facebook comments. So for Chris Bailey to jump on, I really wish I had that. Todd Bailey. He had quite a bit to say. How many people suck at their job, but people like them, so they keep on getting promoted because they're a nice person. Communication skills are the key. He also mentioned Texas Western as a famous game that was the five black starting five that beat
okay.
Adolph Rupp's Kentucky team. USC versus Alabama was the college football equivalent of that. Rumor is Bear Bryant scheduled and wanted to lose to USC in order to prove that Bama needed African American players.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, there it is. We also discussed NBA trade deadline, but I'll leave that out of boredom. I'll also leave out and let you sort of take the mantle on the halftime show that just happened. Tony Saavedra, the team that he mentioned, this is a sore spot for me, but I'll mention it anyway because Mr. Tony is the nicest guy. 1992 Olympic Dream Team, transformational for the world, even though they blew out everybody. But he is right on this one. The European players in the NBA today certainly a major impact there. Again, I think it's pretty obvious why that team touches a nerve with me. The lack of Isaiah Thomas being on that team still gets at me to this day, and he deserved to be on that team. I know I'll get mocked for this because I'm bringing up something from 33 years ago, but I think any listener will agree he should have been on the team by every single criteria imaginable, but he was not. Tony Saavedra's top pops: Coke, Pepsi, and Mountain Dew. Um, his wife does not, Patricia does not drink pop, so he doesn't drink nearly as much as he used to. And he agrees public speaking should be a requirement in high school. Mike Quinn also mentioned that he wants or he wanted to jump into major sporting events that were more than that. And for whatever reason, I think it's because of the snow day, I don't have my list with me because I had a bunch of them, but I did have this one. But he mentioned it, the 1936 Olympics, Jesse Owens uh, doing the big FU to Hitler in Berlin. So that
Not
that was the
family
big one
friendly,
for him.
but we don't have our
Not
censor.
no, but I did say FU. So
Yes, maybe it can be forget you. Plus, it's who knows what it is in German. I don't know much. I don't know my German very well.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So
I want to give a shout out to Dr. Patrick Rice, not Michael Rice or Condoleezza Rice. Yesterday he hyped us up. We worked a lunch together and introduced us as and said, "Hey, come on up and get your autographs." We had a bunch of fans come up. So any of you students that they already know the overrated underrated that we're coming up with, they gave us some of their input. It was a nice little treat from Dr. Rice. Maybe he's starting to come around on the show.
that was pretty cool because what ended up happening was a bunch of kids came up that I had in class, and I know you kind of mentioned this, but then somebody came up later and was like genuinely thrilled. And so, if you don't mind, can I use that as a segue into something else that happened this week?
Yeah, sure.
So, a student of mine in class walked up and said, "Mr. Gervasi, I didn't realize that you were one of the mics on Pass the Mic, and I didn't realize Mr. Peyote was." My mom just cleans the house, and she'll say, "While we're cleaning the house, let's turn on Pass the Mic." So Pass the Mic is playing through the house, and this girl's in my second hour. So how cool is that?
Yeah, and look at that. And it's not like Michael Strahan and Mike Pereira. It's us.
Yep, yep.
So again, thanks, Dr. Rice. We appreciate it. Who knows now? Maybe we can start making amends like we planned to months ago on that great image that Tom Pack created.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right. It's time for your mic of the week. Who do you got this week?
Okay, so again, I'm trying to give a little bit of a shout out to former NFL players or players that played for the Eagles because of their Super Bowl win. So I'm going Mike Golick.
Oh, former host of Mike and Mike.
Yeah, foremost of Mike and Mike. Then maybe they had maybe subconsciously some sort of inspiration on us starting the
Maybe,
show. You
maybe.
know, so yeah, Mike
All right.
Golick, Mike of the Week, did play for the Eagles for a short period in his career, and then has been a super successful analyst. And I thought he was very good calling football games as well. But I'm trying to see here how long he played for the Eagles. I just can't. But I know he was a Philadelphia Eagle, so
Yeah.
that's why he's the Mike of the Week.
Yep. Good one. Good call. All right. Education topic. I sort of hinted to it at the top of the show. We are presenting today, not today as we're recording, but today as this is out. Boy, the Carlson Gibraltar students had a nice long weekend. They got Thursday snow day, Friday is a PD day that's designed that they're off, and then everyone's off Monday for President's Day. So that nice long weekend. We are in service, and we have been tapped as a group of as a presenter in the morning. We're going to be presenting the Gale databases, which we subscribe to as a school, and you use often, and I come in and present. It's nice for those of you that have gone on to college in the last 10, 15, 20 years. You're very familiar with accessing these databases for all your assignments. So we try to use these to introduce our students to them so they know it's not just, hey, a Google search, right? And so our topic this week is we've talked in the past about like PD and this sort of thing, but now we're going to talk about it beyond we're on the other side of it as presenters. What do you want to say about that? What do you think about that? And what are your thoughts for tomorrow?
So it's really, really interesting. I'm really glad I'm doing it with you because you don't seem to have this issue. And I learned that I didn't know that I had this issue until college when I had to present. I get nervous around colleagues, speaking in front of colleagues. I don't get nervous around ever. I've never been nervous in a classroom. I've never been nervous in any other setting, but for whatever reason around colleagues, and so that included college. I remember filming myself. We had to film ourselves teaching a lesson, and I could sense it in my voice watching it, and I knew that I was. So for whatever reason, I'm really nervous about this presentation. I've done this Gale lesson for years. The kids are probably sick of me saying the word Gale, but teaching this lesson to our colleagues, I get really nervous. And I find that such an odd contrast to the fact that I have to speak in front of people every single day of my professional life. And yet, presenting this is why I brought it up to you. You don't ever get this way, or that, to my knowledge. And so it'll be kind of nice. I think you and I doing it together, aside from pissing off a few staff members, I think it'll be nice being able to work with you on this. I couldn't do it by myself.
Well, here's my thing. I think in general, PD is tough because sometimes teachers are the worst audience members,
Worst audience, absolutely.
ironically. And but in fairness to us as teachers, it's yes, okay, we're all high school teachers, but PD topics are often either very, very, very broad because so it can include many people, or sometimes they're not broad, and then there's going to be a chunk of the population that are like, okay, this
Yeah,
has nothing to do with me.
nothing to do with me. Yeah,
Okay, and we're going to try to take these databases, which are aimed in the social studies, and, in language arts, and mainly in the cores, right? And but we're going to have people in there like phys ed teachers and building trades teachers, right? Like, you're already having an issue where you're cutting off some of the interest in general. That's why when I always say, like, to me, your best PD is when you can go to your state associations,
yeah.
teachers of, history teachers,
Social studies. Yeah.
social studies teachers,
Mhm.
my school library or the ALA conferences or school library conferences, or sometimes McCall, which is a tech organization, can be good because tech is tech and we all need to sort of get
Sure.
refreshed on tech,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's always hard. And we do our best in our building yes, we had some people come from the outside, but we try to do these things like we're doing tomorrow where different local experts present on things they're good at and at least try to throw out like a wide net to say, hey, here it is. And also to keep them short and sweet, right? We've talked about this before too. When you're only doing about 30, 35 minutes, even if you have someone that has zero buy-in on what this could be, or maybe 10% buy-in, it's only 35 minutes and not 6 hours,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so we try our best. Our coaches try to do our best, and our administrators try to do our best where we get some of these days like this. Now, sometimes you don't. We had some days this year where it was 6 hours. It was a pretty broad thing, right? And it may not have included what you did, and you had to sit there for 6 hours. It's part of the job.
Right. Right.
I think that, we sort of talked about last week how everyone should take a public speaking class. I think it's something that all of us should do at some point is do a rotation of this.
I, you
Present.
know, This is the direction I think education is going in every facet, including like observations. And we have a team we put together now where teachers, they're not observing, they're going in to get ideas and give and get feedback, and they're kind of doing it with each other. I think this is a direction that's going anyway. I think it's a wonderful direction as opposed to the other method, which you know how it works. You have overworked administrators having to go into, in some cases, depending on the school, 25, 30, 35, 40 classrooms in a given year, on top of the other thing they're doing on their job. Why not do it this way? And so I agree with you, and this is probably the best way. I just personally, for me, it just can be really nerve-wracking.
Have you ever presented at a thing outside of our school, like a social
I
studies teacher? Or
No, I did in college. I wrote a paper post 9/11, and it was on the Dearborn police and the interactions with the community at that time. And that was really nerve-wracking, but I felt confident enough because I was selected for I was one of the people selected because of the paper I had written. So I knew what I was doing and I knew why, but even that was nerve-wracking. But within the class, I try to avoid that stuff altogether.
the good thing about like the outside ones, like we talk about social studies teachers, mine, the library, like it's usually there's a catalog, right? And then you pick what you go to. There's actually
Yeah.
multiple sessions. So you not only are you putting on for like people that are in your area, but they're like actually hand picking, like, oh, I want to do
They're
this
right. They're
session
choosing to be there. Correct. Yeah.
tomorrow for or today as this comes out. People
Yeah.
have no choice. They're coming to our session whether they want to or not. Another thing that I have did it once at my library and my state association, and they have both the sessions, but they also have like what they do like a mini one, which are like roundtables. So it's like an hour long session, and there are like you I proposed what I wanted to do. There were like 12 tables in there, and they would just basically go for like 25 minutes or 20 minutes, and they'd like ring a bell and be like, all right, rotate and go to another table. And it was very informal. People would come around you and you present and do what they did there. I never did like a full out session in a room, but I did the roundtables one year, and I'm really glad that I did it. It was a good experience.
Yeah. And again, I think that's another part of it. And our staff tends to be a little rough on each other, so that might make it a little
Yes,
bit difficult as well. So I
we
guess
are going to plug. We are plugging the podcast in our session at the end.
yeah. But that's
Yes,
to
so
annoy people.
some people, but now, like I said, we made amends with Dr. Rice this
We
episode.
did.
Hopefully, the Allen Park duo doesn't get on our case too
We got
much.
to thank Tom Pack for all of this too. He's
Yes, we will. We'll get Tom. We're going to give you a shout out at the high school level.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, we are. Your one of your pictures is in my slideshow. One of your great collages. It's in
Yeah.
the slide. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I was giving the shout out. So yeah.
yes. All right. Good for that. You ready for today?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, that was a little delay. All right, overrated, underrated. We bumped this a week. I sort of had it tied in, but you did the Super Bowl history last week. So overrated, underrated. I think we did pizza before, like places, but now we're gonna
Yeah.
get specifics. Pizza toppings, and this was the kids were all about this that came up to us, and they reaffirmed one of mine, and then I got and again we had to let the kids know. What do we let the kids know? Overrated does not
Overrated
equal
is not
bad.
right.
So what is your overrated pizza topping?
So for me, and look, I'll start by saying I don't eat pork, but this goes for turkey as well. Turkey pepperoni, which a local establishment does offer now. But I'm going pepperoni. And one of the kids had mentioned that yesterday as
Yep.
well. I think it ruins pizza. I think the taste is so overpowering. I think it discolors the cheese. So for me, pepperoni is far overrated. And in this case, to me, overrated actually is bad, but that's beside the point. I'm saying pepperoni.
All right, so I'm going to go with you on this too, and I do eat pork for the record, but thankfully not red dyed pork. Um, I'm going with basic pepperoni, like the standard that you've always had, like
Yeah,
the thin, because I do like the old style that's like the small and it cups up.
the
That
cups. Yeah,
now more and more places have that, so I like that. But I don't know who along the lines in American history when pizza was sort of like brought over and it was no longer margarita pizza from Italy, but like American style pizza, that pepperoni was the default. Because like to me, like even like some if you do eat pork, but like to me, like I think like sausage is almost
I
better on a
agree.
pizza.
I agree.
I think there's better meats,
Yeah,
even if you aren't a meat eater or don't eat pork. That like I don't know how pepperoni became the standard.
right.
And so basic flats pepperoni is overrated. There's so many other things, whether or not you want to eat pork or not. If you're a meat eater, there's so many other meats that are in front of it. So I think that's the easy one. That was a softball pitch. I don't think anyone's
Slam
going to
dunk.
come on
Yeah.
here and say that like. But again, when you think about it, like we're taking kids to student council states next weekend, and I'm like, what do you guys want me to get? And guess what? Everyone said pepperoni and
Pepperoni
cheese.
pizza. Yeah.
Yeah, like crazy. Somebody cornered the market on that.
They need to listen to Pass the Mic, and maybe next year it'll be something different.
There we go. All right, what do you have as your underrated?
Okay, so I'm going to go with meat as well, and I'm going to add to it by telling a story. But I'm going to start with a hamburger. I think hamburger on pizza, ground beef on pizza is very
Okay.
good. It doesn't mess with it the way pepperoni does. It doesn't overpower anything like that. So about 15, 16 years ago, I used to work, or I still do, but work camp with Max Bailey, and he'd order pizza. And I said, can you just get one with a couple toppings I like? And
Yeah.
I get mocked for this to this day, hamburger and onions. Okay. And I'm not even claiming onions as overrated or underrated, but that was a part of it. And he still makes fun of me to this day. However, I would like to point out that that was the pizza that was gone first. Now he makes the
Isn't that
claim.
isn't that a great feeling when you
Yeah,
do
but he
that?
makes the claim they just did it to make me mad. I'm like, so you're telling me that all of these people ate this pizza first to
Out of
make me
spite.
mad? If that's the case, I'm rent free in their heads. To me, it
Yes.
was because it's the best pizza. So I'm going hamburger.
Would you consider like there's some places that they call it like meatballs on a pizza, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I'm not talking like the size of a meatball, but it's like you
right.
sometimes it's small. Sometimes there's a place that I went to, it was like you take a meatball and if you sliced it with a knife, so it was like
Yeah, yeah,
you like that? That goes under
yeah.
yours.
Not what I'm referring to right now, but I do like that as well. I'm
I think
talking
it's
the straight.
similar. If you're saying
It is
hamburger,
similar.
I'm
It
I'm
is
gonna put it in
similar
the same boat.
for sure, for
It's a
sure.
little different consistency because there's some breading in there that holds it together. But okay, good. I'm with you on that. My underrated, I'm going to go non-meat because I could, but I'm going banana peppers. I think banana peppers are a highly underrated. I think they're better than green peppers on a pizza. Something about them, they give just a better flavor and taste. And my go-to veggie pizza is actually banana peppers and feta cheese. I like how the feta cheese browns up. It doesn't really melt. It sort of like holds its
Yeah,
consistency, but like it sort of chars. Now, Nate hates it when I get it, like other people. But to me, feta cheese doesn't taste like anything anyway, so it's not a taste thing. And I just like the consistency. So those are my two underrated. And when I put them together, that's my veggie pizza: banana peppers and feta. And I'll put banana with almost any other combo, meat or not. It goes with it.
yeah. Okay.
I'm
I like, and I'm not a huge banana pepper fan, but I do like it on pizza too. So I'm with you on that.
I think we're getting a lot of this is like almost like the pop thing. This is very personal. I mean, you think about it, like when you order a pizza, it can be very territorial, I guess.
Sure.
Because I think there's sometimes some items that to me just kill a pizza and I can't eat it at all. Like I'll suffer through this or that, but there's certain things that if it's on there, I'm not eating it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I
Anchovies
think,
being for starters.
well, see, I'll eat one with anchovies. No,
You,
but I would never order that in a case with other people because it's
Mhm.
so,
Yeah,
it's so minimal. So
polarizing. Yeah.
yes, very polarizing. All right, very good. All right, hot mic take. What do you have this week on Valentine's Day, 2025?
Okay, so I'm gonna make this one serious. So there's talk of one of the executive orders that President Trump is going to have of dismantling the Department of Education,
Yes,
and
I just saw something about that.
I'm not going to be here to explain what the Department of Ed does or doesn't do. I think this is one of those things where we have a society that reacts so far one way and then overreacts so far the other that there's no middle ground. So I'm just going to say, and one of I'm a fan of Bill Maher, um, his show. I'm more a fan of his show than him. I think he can be a jerk sometimes, but he was talking the other day about not overreacting to everything Trump does and agreeing with this Department of Ed thing. And then he goes into why. And when you get into the why, I really think that for anybody to venture an opinion on this one, you probably need to look into why it was created and what it does right now and how much federal funding comes from the federal government on this one. And at the same time, if you're gonna push back on it, acknowledge that just on every level of government, there is overspending in certain areas, and there has to be some sort of middle ground on this one. So I guess I'm speaking to both sides. I have a very strong opinion on this one, and I'm sure you and I are in lockstep on this one, as are most likely most of our listeners. I do think it's important we do listen to the other side, but then again, I'm saying to the other side, like I said, Bill Maher started citing all these numbers about how since the Department of Ed was created, this has happened. Here's been our educational outcomes. What's the point of it? And so I am saying for both sides, just kind of listen to the other side, and maybe we come to some sort of middle ground here instead of saying, we need to get rid of it completely, or it just needs to maintain status quo. A lot of people really depend upon it. A lot of people who have special needs, that it's really important. At the same time, just as in every single aspect of government, there are things that can be looked at within reason and maybe modified a little bit. So that's my hot mic take.
I think that's really well said. Before you popped on, I was glancing through TikTok. They're doing the confirmation hearings for the Secretary of Education. It was Linda McMahon. You familiar with Linda McMahon?
I am. I am.
And the Republican senator asked her, "Do you agree with the statement that an act of Congress needs to happen for the Department of Ed to be removed?" And she gave an answer, blah, 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 and then eventually said yes. It would
Hmm.
take an act of Congress, which,
Right.
if anybody knows, and that's a 60 vote in the Senate, by the way, which is so.
Right. Right. Right.
They can do things within it, but she acknowledges that she can't just go in there and like put clothes for business.
Right.
She also acknowledged that she had been body slammed multiple times by the Undertaker, and her memory may not be so good. So I'm making the second half of that part up. But the first part I'm not making up. She did really say that, and so
Why'd you choose the Undertaker?
I don't know. He was always my favorite he was like
Yeah.
the favorite when I was into my last stage of wrestling as a kid. So I agree. I think a lot of the times, like, and my philosophy is I don't want to knee jerk on every one of these stories because that's what people do, and they share things that aren't true. It's like sort of
Yeah.
like people post things like that the Department of Government Efficiency find, but there's nothing's factual and released about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just a statement, and then someone shares it, and then it's false, and then you just sort of move on. We've had this. I'm not going to rehash this over and over again. Show me real numbers. Of course, I don't care what political party. If you find me there's money that's being wasted and could either be not going to the deficit or better spent
Better
elsewhere,
spent.
maybe in the
Yeah.
Department of Education or helping offset what Social Security's downfalls are. I'm not going to sit there and say I'm not for it, but also don't make up lies to justify data. Don't falsify data just to justify what's going on.
No, and like I said, just to hear Bill Maher speak the other day, he cited some study that somewhere where a teacher can come to school 5 times drunk and doesn't get fired. And I mean, again, we work with people that put their hearts and souls into this, and it
Yes.
just it's so insulting. But again, at the same time, like you said, if there's money that can be better spent, let's figure it out together. But the
Yes.
problem is right now we have two sides that just react and overreact, and there's really not a lot of
No.
center coming to the center and figuring things out.
No. And again, the truth of the matter is whatever anyone says, if you look at the election results, again, non-voters won.
Correct.
That's the majority. So don't
Yeah.
sit there and tell me it was like an overwhelming
It's a
majority of the people.
mandate, right? It's not a
There's no
mandate.
mandate. Half,
Right.
yeah, it's a mandate of apathy is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So, all right. My hot mic take, and the Ren Dog definitely wanted me to comment on this, and I was going to. I posted on Facebook about 10 minutes before halftime, getting ready for the yearly tradition of Downriver and Friends. And it really isn't just Downriver and Friends, it's a nationwide thing
Sure.
of criticizing the Super Bowl halftime show. Now, my history of hip hop has often been ridiculed on here. Okay. Kendrick Lamar is obviously part of that. I knew of him. I probably only heard his most famous song, which he saved for the end, which was a big deal, obviously, in this
Yeah.
halftime show. If anything, I've never been to either see him or Drake. Nate is a Drake guy, so I don't know if we're a house divider or whatever. So I was really coming into this of most years of no background, of like I'm just going to watch this show and take it in.
Hmm.
Okay. And while I was watching it, I could already imagine that this was going to be much worse on Downriver and Friends and on Facebook in general than previous years. I just watching the show.
Why would you say
Based,
that?
I'm saying that because of nothing recognizable for a big chunk of the population.
That was rhetorical, but yes, I
Yes, that to me is the reason above all that everyone's heard a little bit of Usher, okay, or Rihanna. Like I'm sure there is a chunk of the population that like I'm only one song that have heard nothing. Okay,
Mhm.
so and it Downer and Friends did not disappoint. It did not disappoint. I went in there. I sort of trolled it on my own page. Somebody on there said, "How about some rock and roll next year?" And I made the comment, "Yeah, I hear Frankie Valli's still alive. They could wheel him up like Hannibal Lecter on the dolly or something." But my comment on all of this is that I don't sing well, not well. I don't sing well. I don't play an instrument. I have the most respect for like the maestro, and we've talked about this before, musicians. I was entertained by it.
Yeah.
That's all I asked for. Was it the best one that I've seen? No, but I was entertained. So I'm not going to sit there and say it was awful, because like something to me that's awful is like Roseanne Barr singing that national anthem,
Mhm.
right? Like there's been other cases of frauds that get on stage, or going to a karaoke bar. You've been somewhere where karaoke is going on, and somebody thinks they are, Daryl Hall,
They're
but they're
belting it
not
out. Yeah.
Daryl Hall, and that is awful. Did I know every song? But like the dance to me, like this year, like the stage production to me was amazing. Like the dancing, everyone
Mhm.
was like, so again, Rennie. But here's the point. Next year, it could be Frankie Valli, and there's going to be a chunk of people that are going to rush and say this is the worst show ever.
Right.
Or it could. You're never going to please 100%. And from what I'm looking at the data, and I might be wrong. I want to say I don't have the exact, but I'm seeing that this was the most watched halftime show ever.
So, full disclosure, we talk about hip hop a lot on here. I have had very much a lot of resistance to new school rap, and it's a character flaw. I'll admit it. And I instantly tune out. I found that the best part to me was Samuel L. Jackson, and I thought it was clever what they did, and but I started every single time he would start rapping, I would tune out. And then when Samuel Jackson would come on, I'm watching again, and it was clear what he was doing, and I thought the social commentary was
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. I thought it was wonderful, but again, so I feel like the Downriver and Friends person, because I read about after all the, and I knew I've heard, Elizabeth Pate has mentioned it, Antoine, a couple of listeners, Chris Pate, lyrically how brilliant he is. He's
yes.
poetic, he's wonderful. I just have a hard time with new school rap, and that's my problem, not anybody else's. And so reading about it after, man, I just the creativity that went into it, I thought was wonderful. I am now, and again, I'm admitting something on here. I have to it's a flaw, and I'm going to change, and I'm going to start being more open-minded to all sorts of new music, but especially rap. um I've always argued with the kids about the social commentary and the storytelling that was in old school rap versus the new school. But man, he reading about all the things that and all the messages that went into that, he really nailed it. So
I thought, and again, I thought he sounded great. He wasn't. I mean, there's a lot to when we're not performing in any case, singing, rapping, whatever. Physically, that's a long time. But like,
mhm.
he didn't have anyone else.
No,
Sometimes there seems to be like in previous shows, someone else would come up and sing some bars or whatever, and that gives you a chance to like.
right.
To me, like the physical effort of what had to be done was impressive. His jeans are sold out everywhere. That everyone wants the flared leg jeans, and again, I have no problem if people don't like it. I'm not sitting here saying that, oh, everyone has to like this. But you also don't have to go run and scream from the mountaintops that you hated it. I don't understand. I don't understand. And I did sort of on a side note, like one of the comments, a lot of the comments were like, I couldn't understand him, right?
Yeah.
If my dad were alive today, I'm sure he probably would have said the same thing.
Mhm.
But then I see people playing clips of like Pearl Jam,
Yeah, right.
like as if the only people you can't understand are rappers, okay?
Right.
Like, and then a clip of like Pearl Jam belting away a stretch of song that you can't understand a word that comes from it. Like that shouldn't be the reason, like I said. And again, the thing I said too is music is a very individual um choice.
Right.
And I'm not, again, I just want to say again, next year, I'm sure it'll be the same thing. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it is Luke Bryan or or anyone. Someone will be mad and claiming how it's the worst show ever.
I think what I'm going to do next year is go on Downriver and Friends during the performance and ask if everybody heard the boom.
Sidetrack them.
I just,
Ask them how the roads are.
I don't,
Maybe the weather will be bad, and you can just ask them how the roads are,
oh,
and
this
then
has
that
been
will make
great.
everyone forget about the halftime show.
Anyone
So
know why there's a lot of police cars and just make some
yeah,
area?
why did a bunch of cop cars go speeding down Telegraph? Who knows? All right. Well, unfortunately, there's nothing for us to pick for. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I'm not going to be picking NBA games here. I'm not going to be picking Wings games.
So
Uh,
listen, I got to plug the Pistons, man. They go into the
oh, that
All-Star break. They're playing really well. They've already won 21 more games or no, I'm sorry. Let me backpedal on that one. 15 more games they did a year ago, 21 more at this time. and they're playing great. And the two losses they had recently were at the buzzer, so there's that as well. Michigan basketball, big win at Purdue. Or I'm sorry, at home
Yep.
against Purdue.
Yep.
Late game heroics there. Michigan State, Tom Izzo. There's a lot going on. Tom Izzo is about to break the record. I mean, the
Yes.
stars
They're
were
on a list.
aligned. They lost to Indiana the other day at home.
Yeah.
The stars were aligned in that game because he's breaking Bob Knight's record.
Yeah.
And they started out, I didn't realize this, they started out up 22-6, but there's a
Ooh.
lot to talk about basketball wise here. And
But
I
nobody will
know
care.
nobody will care. So
Tigers
that's
lost out on their free agent, but the good news is that Illich can build a new parking lot. Although he's getting divorced. I wonder who gets the parking lots.
they're going to split them in half. They got to build more now because they're going
They,
to split them in
they said,
half.
I think they
So,
said it wouldn't impact the sports ownerships, but heck, on the sports ownerships, the wife probably wants the parking lots.
but listen, apparently the Tigers did make him a pretty substantial
I
offer. So
know,
maybe
yes,
he's maybe
and I think they're
maybe that
better off. I think they're better off a 6 year. I mean, that's not
I
worth it.
get it, but man, for me, I don't think you get better by not bringing in better players. But again, the counter argument, and as Max has pointed out to me several times, I complained about Cabrera's contract the last 4 or 5 years of his career.
But that's Major League Baseball. That
It
that's
is, it
that's
is.
that's that's what you have. That's that union has set it up this way, and ownership has agreed to it. So that's what you get in Major League Baseball. You're always going to get Albert Pujols, Mike Trout. They're going to be cheaper on the young end of it,
Yeah,
and you're going to get a bargain. And that's basically how you have to look at it, right? Like it's a bargain when they're younger,
yeah,
and then once I mean it's like Skeens right now in Pittsburgh, right? Like it's a bargain, like
yeah.
what they're getting for him.
And then
And
the Yankees are going to
eventually the
pay.
Yankees or Dodgers will pay him and win a World
One of
Series.
those
But
two are definitely going to have him. We know
yeah,
that.
exactly. All right. Well, hey everybody, we hope you have a great Valentine's Day. We want to any of our colleagues that this is your first time listening because it was plugged in our PD. We hope you enjoyed the show. You're the best to work with. And thank you again, Dr. Rice. And Allen Park Duo, get on board. All right, we'll see you next
Have a
week.
good week, everybody.